I'm Gregg Akkerman. Thank you very much. And I'm running for City Council in our shiny new District 2. A quick geography lesson on that. It's basically everything that's south of our Highway 111. So all the way up here, you know, if you think of towards up the zoo, or if you're going up Highway 74 up the mountain, it's everything up there. And I know some of you might think, well, what district am I in, and so on. And you know, we'll just have to learn that. But the city does have a web page where you can input your address, and it'll tell you. So that is available. But basically, that's for sure what District 2 is. It's if you just think everything south of the highway. And so why am I here? Why am I running? What's going on with that? You know, I was lucky enough to grow up in the area. I remember being in Palm Desert as just a little kid. We'd hike up in the hills before there was a bump and grind. And we'd look down across the desert, and we'd see pretty much just two things really stood out. One was the sand, and the other was date groves. We would just see acres and acres. So the green you saw back then wasn't necessarily golf courses. It was the date palm groves that were everywhere back then. And I remember thinking at that, even as a young kid, I kind of knew, this is special, this is unique. You're not going to see date groves anywhere else in the world, really. There's something really special about Palm Desert. Even as a child, I was picking up on that. But how did I get here? Well, originally, I come from what I would definitely just call working class parents. Both of my parents grew up on Iowa farms, as did their parents, and on back it goes. And farm life is tough. You know, you sit at that kitchen table and you figure every dollar that comes in has a name. And every dollar that goes out, you know, where you've got to make sure those numbers match. And that's the kind of tough, good living and the kind of sensibility that I think I inherited from them. But like, you know, a lot of people in the 50s and 60s, it was let's go west. Let's see what opportunities are available in California. So my parents moved with their growing family, came to California, and found their way to Coachella Valley in the late 1960s, where my dad got hired at a fairly new upstart little community college called College of the Desert. And that's what originally brought the family to the area. And you know, I tried to do my best to live up to their expectations of them providing a better place for their kids to grow up with more opportunities. I went to school in this area. I also went to COD. I went on to state colleges and state universities on my own. Like I said, I tried to be careful with my budget. And yes, by the age of 20, I was a self-made hundredaire. So I figured I better stay in college and keep working at this. And sure enough, you know, I found myself making a little bit of a career for and decided, you know, school was a good thing. Let's do more. So I went back for another degree and yet another one. So yes, I even do have a doctorate. I did complete a doctorate in the arts in music at the University of Northern Colorado, and was pleased to have a career for quite a while as a university professor. Enjoyed that very much. Was able to publish and worked with so many amazing, wonderful young minds. And I loved being able to teach college-age kids. That was a great experience in my life. But after many years away from California, I felt the calling to come back, primarily because my mother was here, still in Palm Desert, and she was aging, and I thought, you know, I feel a need and a calling to be closer to her and help her in her senior years. So I found myself back in Palm Desert, but I still, even at that point, I did not feel any strong draw to be in what I would, you know, the dirty P word of politics. That had never occurred to me that I would someday want to run for city council. That wasn't on my radar. But I was back in Palm Desert, enjoying my beautiful hometown once again. And then, like, of course, COVID hits. And like so many of us, you find yourself dealing with the shock of that. All the industry is shut down. At the time, I was working very much as an entertainer, specifically in the cruise ship industry. That went completely away. And you find yourself a little scared and a little also kind of almost inspired, like, well, what can I do with some of this time? I'm not sure how long it will last, but maybe I should do something you know, to make good use of this time that I now have. And I found myself turning towards city politics. the city website again. I scoured through it. How could I help? How could I be a part of this? And I got assigned to the Parks and Recreation Committee. And that was my first venture with Ralph Perry. He's right there, and we're on that committee together. Yeah. The meetings were on Zoom for a while, but we did what we could. And now I'm the chair of that committee, and it's a fun committee to be on because we're actually in the action of actually building a couple of parks if we can find the funding, and we'll hopefully have some new parks coming up. And then I also applied and was appointed to another committee that was brand new to the area, a civic engagement committee, and I'm vice chair of that. So I'm finding ways to get involved, enjoying what I'm seeing. So I also think, well, now what? Let's go another step. I'm going to start watching the city council meetings. And I really started paying attention, and sometimes I wasn't very happy with what I saw. Sometimes there felt like a real disconnect. I felt like the council as a whole, I'm excluding some people, but typically I found people asking for engagement. We want to hear from the community. And when this community would show up and give their thoughts, what I felt the response was something to the effect of, we know better. So thanks for your thoughts, but we got this. We know what's best for everyone here. And I thought, that just doesn't seem like the kind of representation I would like to see in the city that I love so much. So I started getting more involved. As we already heard, I jumped into the whole 5-district topic, and I really devoted a lot of time to that. And eventually, Measure B passed. And some of you might know, but a quick lesson on that. Yeah. Measure B was a non-binding referendum asking the city, do you want the city to move to 5 districts? Simple question, yes or no. And it easily passed. That was nice to see. So also that month of that election, the new mayor at the time, Kathleen Kelly, gave her kind of inauguration speech where she announced the 10 most important things that she wants to take on as the new mayor. And Measure B, having just passed, everyone's saying they wanted 5 districts, moving to districts was not on her top 10. And I was stunned at that, but the city just told you what they want. Everyone just told you. And then she said, but I have 5 more things if there's time. And I thought, okay, good. Nope. Didn't make the top 15 list of things that she thought she would work on that year as mayor. And the city had just voted to ask for that to happen. So that's when I realized, again, what a horrible disconnect we had between the people of Palm Desert moving one direction and some members of the council saying, we like 1980, we're going to stay back there. And it was really shocking to see that. So then, at least eventually, though, the city does agree, because I'm with some other people, we're working behind the scenes, we're threatening lawsuits, and wonderfully, surprisingly, to be honest, the council does agree, and we move to 5 districts. So now it's moving on to the map thing. Let's make maps. So I submit a map that I thought made a lot of good sense. If you looked at it, it looked like everything made sense. Nice straight lines and big districts that are sort of large chunks throughout the areas of our city. And as the maps were being considered, the city council essentially listened to all of the input, and the support for the map I created was widespread. I had dozens of letters of support. I don't know how many people showed up to speak in support of it. At the various meetings they had around the city for public input, the map was very well received everywhere. And then they actually get to the council meeting where their own staff says, pick 2 or 3 maps that we will then move forward with into the next month. And we'll consider this like the semifinals. And they ignored their own staff report, and they picked one map that was not mine and just jumped ahead. So they skipped over the semifinals, basically. And that's when Stephen really impressed me a lot, because he worked with my map for a while and kept pushing it. And we kept the fight up for a while. But ultimately, the good news was we did get 5 districts passed. It's happening. And that is a good thing. It wasn't quite what we had hoped as far as the boundaries go, but hey, I'll still take the win and I'm happy for that. But yet again, I saw a good example of the people of Palm Desert showing up saying, here's what we would really like you to do. And the council seems to be saying, we know what's best. We'll do this other thing instead. And that was very frustrating to me. And since then, I've also gotten very tired of seeing 4-to-1 votes, with Karina Quintanilla, again, being the lone vote. So do we want a surf park that will waste a whole lot of water every year? 4-to-1 in favor of that. And the defense to that was, well, we'll have a hotel and the taxes will help the city immensely. But as the months have gone by, the developer has turned in new plans, and the last one I saw, the hotel was now out of the plan. So now we're just down to a surf park that wastes, they say, maybe 24 million gallons of water a year. It could be a lot more. It could be who knows how much when it really comes down to it. Another example was the actual maps that I'm talking about, 4-to-1. And the city basically voted through what I think are gerrymandered looking districts. That's not good for voting rights for all of the citizens of Palm Desert. And then we've heard a couple mentions of it, so I will refer you again to a meeting just last week for the city council where Mayor Quintanilla requested travel funds to attend a Latino-based conference, and the response that Jan Harnick gave her was, that's not the Palm Desert way. And right away I thought, well, I think myself and a lot of the people I'm talking to do know what they think the Palm Desert way should be. And one of the ways it could be is maybe not having a surf park in the middle of a drought. One of the ways it could be is, how about we don't have gerrymandered districts, because we'll probably just end up being sued again and having to spend more money to, lawyers are wonderful people, by the way, but how much more money do we want to give them from money that could be spent on more important things around the city? So this disconnect continues. And that's really the main impetus that drives me to want to run for city council, is close that disconnect. I think just the fact that I have such a long history in the area, growing up here, having gone to school here, learning to drive here in these parking lots, learning to swim at the COD pool before we had an aquatic center. All of those things are in my past, and it makes this place special to me and incredibly meaningful to me, and I feel protective of this area. I want to take care of it. And within one voting cycle, we can completely turn the council around if we want to, right? Yeah. So I would love to see you all support my campaign however you can. If that means you can actually vote for me because you're in District 1, great, love that. What did I just say, 1? Sorry. Of course, yeah, District 2 is my shiny new district. And just to get it straight, Mayor Quintanilla, District 1, District 2 is the south here, and District 3 is our northern area. And those are the 3 districts that will all be on the ballot in November 5th of 24. If you happen to live in Districts 4 and 5, those will be rolled out in the next election. So your specific vote for city council will be on the next cycle. But by all means, you can still spread the word and tell friends and say, oh, I know who you should vote for. Where do you live? Oh, yeah, we've got the perfect candidate for you, and spread our name. You know, the buttons, those are free. Take them with you, give them to friends if you want to take some extra. Wear them to the supermarkets, to a gas station, whatever. It's a great conversation piece. Let people ask you. And because the fact that you're here, that shows me you're unusual people. Because you're actually pretty engaged, more than most people around Palm Desert. So frankly, I don't know if you've thought of it yet, but whether you like it or not, folks, you people who show up to events like this, you're the influencers. So if you go to work or church or even a supermarket or another event, and people are hearing you talk about who you like and who you wish you could vote for or will be voting for, they may, even if they don't say something to you, they're gonna think, oh, well, you know, she was saying good things. I should probably do what she's saying. Oh, well, you know, he knows important people, so I'll do what he said. You are the influencers. So take advantage of that. Let people know what you're thinking and who you're thinking about voting for and who you would like to support. All right. Just some housekeeping. By all means, please enjoy lots of food. This was all put together by my lovely, amazing wife, Kathy. I'll tell you the quick story. When I was 12 years old, going to an elementary school just around the corner over here, a little girl came up to me and she said she liked the way I played the piano on the Pink Panther theme. So my only response as a 12-year-old who doesn't know what to do with hormones, I just chased her around the building for a while. That's all I could come up with. But eventually we went steady. But at the end of the school year, she was going to move to a different district. So I waved goodbye to her at the bus stop. And 37 some years later, we found each other on Facebook. And we've been married for about 6 years now. So, over 6 years. It worked out. So another score for Facebook. By the way, since I mentioned Facebook, what can you do to help with my campaign or campaigns of other friends? The simplest thing, and it's free, follow us on social media. For me personally, just look for Akkerman for Palm Desert. You see the spelling there, right? Just find that on social media, mostly Facebook or Instagram, and just follow a campaign and like something. Debbie, I know Debbie's terrific. She shares everything, and that's wonderful because that's the magic of social media. That I share it with my followers, and then she shares it, and then all of her followers see it. So that's the magic of it all. So share things, like things, make comments on things. There's someone here who makes a lot of comments on the internet, right here, Lenny. So that would be very helpful too. Those are things you can do that won't cost you a penny, and I'd really appreciate the help. Also, I do have some signs. If you want to take one on your way out, I know it's a little early for yard signs, but put it in your garage, you'll have it. I have some the little stand rack things. I'll put those out before you go. Feel free to take signs or any of the stuff you find laying around. Before we all leave today, I do want to make sure we all stand up in a sort of a general area together and take a big group photo. So I'm going to ask us to do that if you'll do that for me too. Thanks very much, everybody. I want to be able to talk with a lot of you individually, so hopefully you can stick around for a few more minutes and we'll just have some chats privately and you can ask more questions if you want. But thank you very much. Vote, vote, vote all the way down the ballot. Thank you.